everyone, it's Helen. It's been a long old time and I've been putting this off for ages, but I am going to do my June wrap up. This is a loose scarf that I picked up on eBay. I think it was in one of the book boxes, Fairy Loot or one of those Owl Crate or something, where it says come and gather, a story is about to begin, and I just thought it was lovely, so I thought I'd try that as a bit of a backdrop, although I've got a feeling that when I'm taping this it's going to be backwards. We will see. So we'll see how we go there. They're all the books that have got some of the books I've read in the past that I need to decide what I'm doing with. So yeah, I thought I would do it. So you'll have to excuse me because I'm going to be going through this. I promised myself that I would do a weekly vlog of wrapping up my books, but I just haven't done that. Probably doesn't look like I'm going to do it in July as well because I've already read 2 books and haven't done anything about that. Trying to decide if I should take this ring light off because it's shining in my glasses, or should I just take my glasses off? How about that? So yeah, I think I've seen you since I've had all my hair chopped off, haven't I? So yes, this is my June wrap up in which I did What-Ever-A-Thon and I did book snooker. Book snooker was like the last week. And for What-Ever-A-Thon, I didn't specifically plan out a TBR. I just thought I'll read what I want to read, and if it fits in, great. I will at some point put in a little graphic of how I did with that. I did well. I did get to deity status. I was Camp Contemporary. I ticked off all of the prompts apart from pick a booktuber's favourite. But to be fair, one of the books I read may well have been a booktuber's favourite, but I'm lazy and I didn't want to start going back through everybody's faves to find a book. So I read Heartstopper's Fall, and I'm pretty sure that series was somebody's favourite, but I just didn't tick it. So I probably did complete all the prompts, but hey ho, never mind. So I'll do my usual and try my best to remember, but I've got a terrible memory, which is why I need to start doing the weekly wrap-ups when I can. So the first book I read in June, let me count how many I read first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 books, which I'm really pleased with. This is the first month that I've actually completed my Scrabble and TBR. When I say completed, I had started every book and did some more besides. The only one that I haven't finished is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I am 5 or 6 hours into the audiobook and it's an 18 hours audiobook. So I'm letting myself away with that because I will continue with that even if it takes me a few months. I only listen to audiobooks in my car really. So I have to rely on it's the time when I'm commuting back and to from work. So I'm persisting with that one, but apart from that I read every single book that I was going to read. But the first book I read was People We Meet on Vacation. That was by Emily Henry. That was a NetGalley arc. It was about 2 people who from when they were young go on holiday together as friends, and then they go on I think it's a last minute ditch attempt holiday to see if the relationship becomes something more. I can't remember a lot about it. I went into this one tentatively because I was really excited for Beach Read by Emily Henry, and then I gave it a 3-star because it was just okay, and this one I gave a 3-star as well because it was just okay. So cover beautiful, all the pastel colours. It's called 2 different titles. It's People We Meet on Vacation or You and Me on Vacation, but the NetGalley arc was People We Meet on Vacation. So yeah, 3 stars for that one. Then I read Nothing Ventured by Jeffrey Archer. Now this was on my list for 21 to read in 2021. I just wanted to read a Jeffrey Archer because a lot of members of my family have liked Jeffrey Archer books. My dad bought me the second in one of the series off my grandma for my birthday, and then I realised it was part of a series, so I went to the library and got the first copy. I gave this 5 stars, really enjoyed it, definitely want to read more Jeffrey Archer. I've now got the second one on my list that my grandma got me for my birthday, and my uncle today told me that the third one's already out, so I've got another one to go there. So yeah, that was a thriller. It's set in the art crimes world, and it's about a policeman who focuses on that. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and I think I like it so much because it reminds me of the world in White Collar, which is a series that me and Andy have watched through twice on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. Then I read Heartstoppers Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. I was lucky enough to win this on on Twitter in a competition. Loved it. It's my favourite of them so far. I think I give the others 4 stars, but this one I give 5 stars. I thought it was done very well. Charlie's eating disorder. I thought that was dealt with very well. It went into detail, but not over detail. But it made you think about people who suffer with that and how it affects family and friends. So yeah, obviously I'm not somebody who struggles with that condition, so you would have to talk to somebody with that condition to see how they felt it was portrayed. But for me, I just thought it was dealt with very sensitively, but is getting out there, because there may be people with friends who go out for bites to eat and they're being picky with the food, and there might be a reason behind that, but you don't know. So I suppose it's encouraging people to look out for the signs and talking to somebody about it without making them feel uncomfortable, but letting them know that you're there for them. So yeah, 5 stars for that one. I thought it was really good. Then I read Meg, Jo, Beth and Amy, a graphic novel, loosely based on, well, not, yeah, loosely based because it's a modern retelling of it, of Little Women. This one's by Ray Tercerio and Brie Indigo. Becca from Becca Fowle channel, she gifted me this for my birthday. Wasn't disappointed with it. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I liked that it was there were different issues in this compared to obviously the old style Little Women, very modern, and yeah, I give it 4 stars. I don't really know what else to say about it. You could see how it links, but that there was a modern take on it. So yeah, definitely would encourage you to read that. I haven't read a lot of graphic novels, but I've got to say this, I tried Pumpkinheads before. I did read the other Heartstoppers and they were okay. But like I said, this month it's really took off because this I gave 4 stars, and Heartstoppers Volume 4 I gave 5 stars. So I think there might be one more Heartstoppers coming. I think there's a 6th one. And I believe there's a novel in itself called Nick and Charlie that I want to give a go. So yeah, definitely get onto that. Then I read Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow. Again, this was a gift from Becca Fowle. I went into this with high hopes. I gave it 3 stars because it was okay. I was a bit disappointed in the adults in this story. Don't get me wrong, I know that as the mum of the child in this story, Archie, if your partner turned around to you after you've been married for many years and says that they're gay, I understand there's lots of feelings that come with that, and I'm working through those feelings. I know there's somebody who is coming out as gay to their family. There's lots of issues around that and things to deal with. But I felt at times in this story that the parents forgot about their son. There was a lot of arguing. When I say not in front of him, I suppose there was a little bit of bickering, but not careful when they're arguing, so we heard a lot of it, and I don't think they thought a lot about his feelings, and that made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I have never been to a Pride before. My husband Andy has took our daughter Sophie, she's 6 now, but he's took her many years, to the Wigan Pride Festival. Because I work every other Saturday, it's always fell when I'm in work. So I'm determined at some point, even if I have to swap my Saturday or I have to book a Saturday off, I am going to go to one, because everything I've seen about it, everything I've read about it, everything I've heard about it, it just seems like such a joyous occasion, and I want to go and be involved in that. So yeah, I'm determined to go along to one, and I will give this book that. It made me want to go along to one more. So I buddy read this with Becca, and we had a great time. I think she'd give it a similar score to me. She might give it half a mark above me. I was pleased about this as well, because last year I took part in Middle Grade Monthly, and I read every single book that they read. So I was able to rank them all at the end of the year, and it was great. And I was going to do the same this year. And the first book that they did was The Keeper of the Lost Cities, and I bought it in ready, and I never got round to it. So I think because I fell behind, I didn't catch up. So this was the first book that I managed to read that fitted in with the live show and that I could join in again. So I need to go back to, what month are we on now? This will be the 6th month. I need to go back the other 5 months and read all those books and then read the future ones as well. So I don't know whether to give this year up as a bad one and start again next year, or catch up. I mean, there's never any books of those that I've hated. I think the lowest score I give was a 3 star. So I've never been disappointed in the recommendations, but I don't like falling behind on things, and then I kind of give up on it then. So yeah, we'll see how we go, but I enjoyed listening to the live show of that one. Then I read Tears of the Giraffe by Alexander McCall Smith. Really small, like thriller mystery. It's set in Africa. Madame Mawatsi is the leader of this lady's detective agency, and so it follows her dealing with people who come in the crimes and things. Yeah, I give it 3 stars. They're just easy read, really quick. Yeah, I don't read a lot that's set in Africa, so it's nice to read that. If you've got any recommendations, please shout those out to me and I'll give those a try. Next is Evil Thing, which is the Cruella de Vil retelling from 101 Dalmatians. I got this one because Sophie's obsessed with 101 Dalmatians. I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. You can see it obviously gives a hint as to why Camilla, I want to scroll, Cruella turned out the way she did. Yeah, I was just impressed with it. Oh, look at the back of that one. So I went like this when I did it. You could also do. Okay. Anyway, really enjoyed it. I've seen recently that there's one called Go the Distance out, which is about Hercules. I've still got the Aladdin one, A Whole New World, to read. I just enjoy these sometimes. I haven't really, at one point I've got them all into the library and was going to go through them all, but some of the Disney films I'm more familiar with than others. I have, there's a Mulan one. I've never watched Mulan, so I kind of want to do it with ones that I'm interested in, really. So the next one I read was The Newcomer by Fern Britton. This was one I had on an ebook, 99p deal on Kindle. During lockdown, I'm sure I've mentioned this loads of time before, she did a reading by the fire with Fern, and I listened to her read a few chapters and then got the books myself and carried on. I read 2 of them and really enjoyed them, so I think this was the third one I tried. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as some of the others I've read, but I am going to make my way through all of Fern Britton's book. Most of them are set in Cornwall. They're just dead easy read. I feel really relaxed when I'm reading them, and that's what I want, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'll get them when they come on 99p deals. If I can get them on Audible or Scribd, I'll do that, and I can get quite a lot on BorrowBox at my library as well. Next, I read a book that I needed to review for something. It was called Baby Miracle for the ER Doctor. Yes, that is like a kind of Mills and Boon type romance. I give it 2 stars. I didn't enjoy it. It was a bit rubbish, and not really much more to say about that. Then I finally finished A Delavan Life by David Jason, which is, if you remember, at Christmas I bought it for my dad, and then I got a copy out from the library for myself, and I was going to buddy read it with him, but I think he stalled at like chapter 3. It's not because he doesn't like David Jason, it's just he doesn't get much time to read. So I waited for a long time and then thought, I'm going to carry on reading this. I gave this 4 stars. Obviously for me, I love him in Only Fools and Horses, so if you'd have done a whole book on Only Fools and Horses, it'd have probably got 5 stars. But I gave it 4 stars, really interested in hearing about his life. He seems like a lovely bloke, really grounded. Yeah, so made up with that one. Then I went on to my book snooker books. So for my white ball, I read, which you got no points for, but you just had to read a white book to start the competition off. I read The Prison Book Club by Anne Walmsley. This was a non-fiction book about 2 women who, well, one woman who set lots of book clubs up in prisons, but she asked another woman to come on board and help her run it. This woman then wrote a book about it, and it's focusing on, you do find out about the crimes that some of the men committed, but it's nice to see how they all come together to read the stories and take different things from them. Then it focuses on some of them who've gone out on parole and their life afterwards, and some of them set book clubs outside. It was just so interesting, and I give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Then I read my red book, which was 8 Pieces of Silver by Patrice Lawrence. She came to do a chat with some schools through our library on Zoom during lockdown, and I was just so impressed when I watched that. So I thought, I've got to read a book by her. This is basically about a girl called Bex who lives with parents and her older sister. Parents go on holiday So she's left under the care of her older sister, who she assumes one day is in her bedroom, and it turns out she's not. And then she's got to use clues within the girl's bedroom to find out where she's gone. And I'll say no more about that because that will spoil it. It's a bit of thrillerish. It's a YA. I gave this 4 stars. Will read more books by her. Focuses on a lot of different issues. If you like YA mysteries, this is the one for you. Give me slight vibes, not totally, but of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood. I wouldn't say it's as hard hitting as that, but it certainly gives you similar feels. So yeah, really enjoyed that. So that was my red book. I got 1 point for that. Then for my yellow book, I read The Secrets of Sunshine by Phaedra Patrick. This is about a single dad called Mitchell who wife passed away, and it's his job to cut off the locks on the bridges in, where do they live? I can't remember where they live. Around London way, I think. And he lives with his daughter Poppy. They're both grieving, and then he kind of becomes, he saves a woman who jumps into the water of the bridge. She disappears. He ends up befriending her sister, and it's trying to find out where she's gone. So I wouldn't say it's thrillerish, but you certainly get those intense feelings of, oh, what's going to happen? How's it going to unfold? Very heartwarming. Did I give this? No, I gave it 4 stars. So it is a contemporary, but there's thrillerish elements, like a mystery element to it. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Then I read my green book, which is Asking for a Friend by Andy Osho. I was so excited for this one. It was basically about some friends who decide to set each other up on dates because they've not had much luck picking men for themselves, so they decide to pick men for each other, and they go on multiple dates. And I was so excited for it, but I was just disappointed. And it was one that I'd got in a book box for my mum. I'd ordered it on Kindle for myself, but I purchased a book box from the Book Tasters Club or Book Tasters for my mum, and I don't think she got very far with it either, and I can kind of see why she wasn't that keen on it. So yeah, 3 stars for that one. Then I read a Kindle Unlimited book called Kismetology for my brown, or for the green book I got, was it 3? Secrets of Sunshine, yellow, 2 points. Asking for a Friend, 3 points. Kismetology, this would have been 4 points. I was looking for a book with a brown cover. Rachel on Twitter thankfully suggested this book for me. Basically about a girl who tries to set her mum up on dates to find her someone because she's lonely, and she keeps turning up at her and her partner's flat for company all the time, every night. She's like, I'm going to set her up, she won't be lonely anymore, it'll give us time to ourselves. So she dates the men first for her mum, and then the ones that she thinks her mum will like, she passes on to her mum. It's just really good, really fun. The heartfelt points. Shines a light on the dating scene and what it's like for younger people and older people. And yeah, I was really chuffed with this. I believe this was self-published maybe. I was going to try and save it for Indie Accords in July, but I just couldn't wait, and I didn't have another brown book that I really, really fancied. And it's made me want to look for the books about like this thing like matchmaking. I loved Mismatch when that was on telly. I haven't seen every single episode, but I've seen most of them. That's the one with Alicia Silverstone, where she sets people up on dates. And this gave me feels, but in the opposite direction of, there's a film with Mandy Moore and Diane Keaton called Because I Said So. If you've seen that, let me know, because I love that film. But that's the mum finding a date for her daughter, whereas this is the opposite. It's the daughter finding love for her mum. So if you know any books like that where people are matchmaking people, let me know, because I just love that idea. So I give that 4 stars. Then for my blue book, I didn't get this in time, so I didn't get the points for this, but I decided to carry on with it anyway because my sister had got it for me off my wish list for my birthday. It's a non-fiction. It's by Helen Russell. It's called Leap Year, and it's basically she struggles with change. I'd already read a book about the year of living danishly, where her and her partner moved to Denmark, and this one is about them considering moving back to England, but firstly are going through all kinds of change theories in business, psychology, neuroscience. She just speaks to all these experts, which sounds really boring, but it's really not. It's a book that I could see myself highlighting bits and looking back on. I give it 5 stars. I enjoyed it that much. It's just looking at all aspects of your life. So your career, let's have a look. How to go through changes in your career, relationships, your body, hobbies, trying different hobbies, friends, people who'll be there for you, people who won't, making new ones, family, looking at your finances, home, mind. There's an epilogue of 4 months later, and then it goes through ways that you can change. I can't describe it really well, but if you're like me and don't deal with change very well, this is a good book to look into and try some of these things in your everyday life. So that was Leap Year. So that was the end of Book Snooker. Then I saw this book at the library. I took 2 books out from the library. There was one about being an empath, which read like a textbook. I wasn't interested in it. But then there was this one that said, set boundaries, find peace. I gave it 4 stars. It's a non-fiction, and it's basically about, let's see, it says, a guide to reclaiming yourself, end the struggle, speak up for what you need, and experience the freedom of being truly yourself. Healthy boundaries, we all know we should have them in order to achieve work-life balance, cope with toxic people, and enjoy rewarding relationships with partners, friends, and family. But what do healthy boundaries really mean, and how can we successfully express our needs, say no, and be assertive without offending others? It's basically about a licensed counsellor and relationship expert who talks about how important that is. This is something that I've got to work with in everyday life. I struggle with anxiety. I find it really hard at times to say no to things, even though I know they create anxiety. I don't always want to say no to things. I want to push myself because my life could become very small very easily. I could easily stay in my house non-stop and decide not to do anything. So there are times I know that I can push myself, but I know myself very well now to the point where I know when I'm not going to enjoy something and so don't go to places. I also don't want to spoil it for anybody else. I find it hard sometimes to go out for meals with people because I have a lot of gut problems. So if I go to a meal and I've got myself worked up about it, I either won't be able to eat properly, I'll feel sick while I'm there. There's just a lot around it. I would much prefer to go to a cafe with somebody and have a cup of tea and possibly try a cake. So I'm trying to get better at saying to people, can't make that, but would you like to do this? I find a lot of people prefer that, rather than just saying I can't come. It's a lot easier to say to friends, let's reschedule, let's do this. Sometimes it's about having boundaries with people, in texting, in phone calls. I actually prefer it if people send me a text about something rather than phone me about it. It gives me time to process what they've said to me or asked me in my head. I don't like being put about on the spot about things because I feel like sometimes I have to say yes when actually I might want to say no, but say let's try this instead. I need to think about things first. So and I think I'm finding now is what this was trying to say is it's a lot easier to have an awkward conversation with somebody in that moment, tell them how you feel and work on from there, than it is to keep going against your wishes, getting all het up inside and then down the road having a big blast off about it because it's got too much. And I totally get that. So I've got better over the years at saying no to things, arranging things that would suit me better. I still need to get better at speaking to some people and letting them know what my boundaries are and what I feel comfortable with. And I suppose on the other side of that, it's talking about how to go along with other people's boundaries and how to react if somebody says to you, well, no, I don't really, I'd rather you didn't do that. I like to think that I'm quite understanding about that. If somebody says, no, I can't do that, I try and be understanding. I think that there might be a reason for it. It might be that they're anxious. So I'm trying to get better at that as well. But I cannot praise this book enough. 5 stars. If you're interested, go for it. And then the final one, sorry, I've shut my book in that time, is, I buddy read The Crown by Kira Cass with Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. I read that through Scrib. Well, I listened to that through Scrib, so that's a YA book. It's the second read for me. I give it 3 stars again. Becca started reading The Year with us and then decided not to carry on because she just wants to imagine that it's the 3 books, the first few books, it's the trilogy and there's no other books after that. Kind of see where she's coming from with that because I didn't like these as much. But I tried to read them as a separate story and think of it that way. I think Chloe gave it 3.5 stars. Yeah, so she had a similar feeling. I'm looking forward to the Netflix series coming whenever that is. I was hoping by the time I'd finished them they'd have got on with that, but obviously with COVID it's been pushed back. So I'm sure around that time myself, Chloe and Becca, we can discuss that and what we think of the Netflix series. I just hope they don't change it too much and try and stick to the books a bit, because that's what me and Chloe were talking about recently about The One by John Mars. We both loved that book, but the series was totally different. Now, I didn't mind the series as much because, again, I just tried to imagine it as something else. It's been that long since I'd read the book, so I didn't remember exactly what was different about it. But I think Chloe had read it more recently and loved it and then was disappointed. So, you know, everybody's different, aren't they? Looking for different things. But yeah, I hope they stick to it. So that is everything I read. I'm really chuffed that I managed to complete my TBR, keeping on with Becoming by Michelle Obama. And so I'm not going to give myself any punishments in August when I decide to do my next Scrabble and TBR. I think that's one's going to be Scrabble and Sister, and I'm going to let my sister pick 4 books for me. So thanks for listening. If you've got any questions about the books that I've mentioned, get in touch. If you've read them, let me know. If you've got any about matchmaking, let me know. I'll be interested in that. Yeah, just let me know let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time. Bye.